Hello and welcome to Spotlight on Atlantic Television. My name is Eudora Ebigoni Kelly. On Spotlight, we bring to you topical issues as affecting our nation presently. Today, I have with me the gubernatorial candidate for the Social Democratic Party in Delta State. I have Chief Kenneth Gbagi with me today, a special guest of honor. Chief Gbagi, you're welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
This has been a long time coming, trying to get you on this program. And you are standing on the ticket of the Social Democratic Party rather than the People's Democratic Party, which I believe is your home party, is your base. More or less, like we would say, that is where that's where you started life really as a politician. So what made you leave the PDP and move to the Social Democratic Party?
Lack of democracy. I was one of the founders of the PDP, as you would know. The first primaries that was conducted when we came back to democracy was between me, Chief James Ibori, and Professor Samuel Yohani, coming from the Central, just as it is now, is coming back to Central. And that was a party we formed.
Chief, just before, sorry for butting in, you're saying it's coming back to the Central.
Yes.
Is this an agreed notion by all parties in Delta State that it's coming back to Central? Because I do know that the Ijaws have also been trying to stake a claim to the governorship ticket. And for you to say it's coming back to Central again, that kind of dismisses a very critical aspect of the nationality, the Ijaw nationality within the Delta State confluence. So are you saying that they shouldn't have a turn and they should go right back to the Robos again?
I don't know your understanding of political structures. All over the country, Nigeria took a decision and created 3 senatorial districts for each state of the Federation. And politically, it has run that way. When we started, it started obviously because Urhobos are the most populous people, or they are more in number. It started with the Urhobos. Chief Ibori haven't taken that ticket. It left Central. Urhobo is Central, for your information and better comprehension. Urhobo is Central. So it left Urhobo Central and went to South.
Delta South, I'm aware of that.
Delta South comprises of Ijaw, Isokos, and
Shekiris.
the Shekiris. So it went to their zone. Whoever they threw up, it so happened that Dr. Odwanga is from South. Now, all of them grew up, all these people, including the Ijaws and who have you, grew up within the Urhobo, ethnicities. So they all hear Urhobo, they all speak Urhobo and what have you, but he is a Shekiri man through and through. He speaks Urhobo, no doubt, because he lived in Ogara, and Ogara is predominantly more Urhobos.
But he was taught that he's a cousin to Chief Ibori.
Yes, maternally. I'm a cousin to some people who are Ijaw. I'm a cousin to some people who are Shekiris. But what I'm saying is that it went to, for purpose of this argument, it went to South.
Okay.
And Odwanga became governor. When it finished, it went to
Delta North.
Delta North. All efforts for that arrangement to be thwarted failed because it's an agreement. It's an understanding that it will rotate. And put it this way, for purposes of the public, if Urhobos were not people who are democratic, if Urhobos were not people who obeys laws, given their population
their numbers, they
and
could have,
spread, they can keep it. Like what is happening now in Benue.
State.
In Benue State, nobody could take it.
You're right.
But
between the teams and the...
God bless you. So Urobos should be credited with the fact that they are disciplined people. That's why it moved the way it has moved. Now that Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa is finishing, it has come back. Now in politics, you do not stop people from wanting to vie or wanting to say we want to contest. You can be surprised that your son, your daughter, your wife, your relation can want to say they want to contest with you. Everybody who struggled or made one comment or one story as a result of what popularity he or she thought he had squared up. It has come back to Robo. The candidates today for the election for 2023 are all Robos. You cannot find any other person contesting from any other party because it will not sell, it won't work. Just like when it came to North, nobody succeeded in doing anything to campaign because it doesn't make sense.
Chief, you are somebody that has been in the political terrain, like you said. You're one of the godfathers.
Founding fathers, yes.
Founding fathers, not... You take exception to the word godfather?
It can, both can go, yeah.
Okay, of the PDP in Delta State. And Delta State has more or less been a stronghold for the PDP from 1999. No other party has been able to make a way into the seat of government, save the PDP. And you have also served with former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan as a Minister of State for Education. Having served your tenure and left and come back to local politics, what informed your decision to cross carpet out of a party that you nursed and built in Delta State to a fledgling new party, so to speak, Social Democratic Party?
Put it this way. If you saw my letter of resignation from the People's Democratic Party, I said, I tender my resignation with tears. It's like this house. This is my house. I built this house from scratch. When I saw what I saw and I experienced what I experienced with PDP, haven't thought that it will clean up. Haven't thought that he will do things legitimately. Haven't thought that... A lot of people blame me. Up till this yesterday morning, people say, what would make you have believed Ifeanyi Okowa to be a human being? I says, I believed him. And I told him for 7.5 years, I believed him. Everybody else says he's not a man to be trusted. But I said, I believe him. You
don't think he's a man of his words?
It can never have been. He's not. And he will never be a man of his word. Not because he tries to. He's just by his nature cannot keep to his word.
Do you think the former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has made an error in choosing him as his running mate if you say he's not a man of his words, not someone to be trusted and a man of no integrity?
Whatever was the reason for Atiku Abubakar's decision, I don't want to bother his decision, but on the ground, come the election 2023, you will tell the public what has happened, because there's one thing to go on television and make noise and buy, friendship and buy power and all of that. But on the ground, would he win his local government in Delta State? The answer is no, no, no. And you made a statement that is very out of, in my opinion, not correct. People make parties. It's not parties that make people. Since the day I left the PDP, as it were, what has happened to PDP? PDP is dead in Delta. Who is PDP?
We know that right now PDP is more or less at the apex court. What's happening? There are two candidates fighting for the ticket.
No. Leave the apex court. Go back. You are not from...
You have Sharif, the current Speaker of the House of Assembly. We also have David Edevie also fighting. And I know they have gone through the Federal High Court and Sharif won at the Appeal Court. And I believe it's at the Supreme Court now.
You see, I'm grassrooted in Delta. That is why I can beat my chest to say a party I built, a party you thought was the party on the ground. I left the party to go to the Social Democratic Party of Nigeria. Now, for your information, SDP is the oldest existing party in Nigeria. Some of you do not just know. SDP was the party with which MK Abiola won the national election.
Yes,
older than
1993.
Older than PDP.
PDP, definitely.
The current chairman of PDP was an SDP.
Yochayu was a member
of SDP.
Yes,
every great human being that either to had some principles were SDP member. So SDP is not new. SDP
Will you call Yochayu a man of principles?
I wouldn't say that. If IU was a man of principle, I mean, people grow out of responsibility to irresponsibility. As a lawyer, I can say that. If IU was, given the kind of trappings IU had gone through in life, haven't gone to prison, custody, refund of money, and what have you, and it's gone back. If you saw the news today, that IU has collected billions from some governorship candidate. IU has collected billions on account.
From the presidential candidate, an allegation that was made by the River State governor.
No, and not forget the issue allegation. How much have been made from Delta State? How much has been made on account of Sheriff? How much have been made to a man that has character, irrespective of the cost, the amount will remain a man of character. That's why I say it. And IU had its own fair share of corruption in the country, not in this part of this dispensation, previously, and he suffered imprisonment, he suffered custody, he suffered detention, and he refunded all those monies. But what I'm saying is that he's gone back to the same position. But let me take you.
So you believe he's gone back to his vomit?
He's swallowing his vomit again. And nothing will stop him from going back to the same situation. Now, why has everything happened the way it has happened? SDP, for your information, is the only party that every Deltan, Shekiris, Robos, Ijos, name it, Igbos, voted for to produce the governorship candidate of Felix Ibru. Felix Ibru became a governor under the Social Democratic Party. So the Social Democratic
So you can more or less say the Social Democratic Party has its roots in Delta State. Seriously
so. Seriously. Look, I moved from, when I saw the dubiousness in the primaries, I moved from PDP.
Did you take part in the primaries, sir?
I never would have done that. I'm a lawyer. The Electoral Act is very clear. So I saw it coming. I saw the plan. I saw the game that Okowa was playing. And I pulled out and resigned. That's the reason why today I'm the candidate of the Social Democratic Party. Everybody who participated in that primaries cannot go to another party to contest. I mean, the Electoral Act is very clear. Now, everybody in Delta is looking for a third force. Everybody in Delta is looking for a man that they believe can turn the fortunes of the state. The state has suffered. If you have been to Delta, you have come from Delta, you have a family, or you have schooled there, or you know anybody, 44% of everybody who has brain or head, they are leaving the state. They are running away from the state.
So you're saying that Okowa has not accomplished anything in nearly 8 years? There are no accomplishments to point to that?
Please carry your camera, go to Delta, go to the 3 senatorial district. As I speak to you now, people are moving from their homes, going to designated centers. Flood has taken over. Flood has taken over the state. This is a state.
Internally displaced places.
Whether you like it or not, given the kind of resources
that Delta State has. Yes,
if you beam your camera right now on Delta, you will call for the assassination of persons. Just beam your camera. It's not me. I'm not the one saying it. And that is why you see, you can no longer deceive the people. Last 9-10 days, he brought all the church pastors together, all the bishops and whatever. He brought them together to Asaba and trying to plead, or try to make them look more stupid by lying to them. And the people told him, sorry, we are not with you. He gave all of them 250,000 naira each. What will that do? Now with this flood, one of the men who spoke and told him that, you are just sitting down here. All of us here who are pastors and bishops and primates and what have you, we are not with you. We brought you to power. We are not with you. So what I'm saying is that you can deceive.
So you don't think he has any legacy projects to point to for nearly 8 years?
Given your vintage position, ask them to show you the legacy project. 90% of all the companies, all the industries that are in Delta have left. Shell have left. All the companies, no oil company, no service company. The place has become a derelict place for people who are disgruntled, who are unhappy because there's nothing. Children leave school, no plan. So the question is that, what have we done with our fortunes? We cannot be comparing ourselves to Ondo State. We cannot be comparing ourselves to Jigawa or all these states that are less privileged like Delta.
Delta is quite rich. We know that. In terms of oil and all that, I want to bring to your attention the recent happenings in Delta State, where the federal government has moved in, more or less. NNPC has come in as well. We saw in the dailies and we saw on the screens of the televisions around the country of 4-kilometer pipelines transporting crude to offshore. And we have also the former warlord, Tom Polo, talking about security agency implication into bunkering and oil theft in Delta State. What's your take about that?
You see, I laugh when some of these things, as a criminologist, it is a known fact that crude oil theft had gone on for over 10 years. More than that. And of course, who is not involved? Who is not involved? That's the question you want to ask. Not who are the people involved, who is not involved. So, sadly, very sadly, this young man called Tom Polo, who I believe, if properly dealt with, will solve the problem of oil theft. Let government do what government can do and leave the people to do what they know how to do.
This was the same man that the federal government was chasing with the EFCC at the onset of this administration in 2015. He was alleged to be a man wanted, and he was on the run for misuse of funds, especially as concerns the university that was supposed to have been cited at his community. And we know that the federal government said that he had a lot of money that passed through his hands, which he couldn't account for. And today we're talking about that same man being a savior of Delta State.
If I take this, those are all accusations. If government want to pursue you, they will pursue you. They will bring up charges, trump up or whatever you, to, put it this way. Because the government was pursuing Jonathan, Tom Polo was very close to Jonathan, and they thought Tom Polo has some hidden wealth of Jonathan and whatever. If they pursue Tom Polo, they will get somewhere.
We had the former Minister of Transportation on air talking about money.
Who is Minister?
Mr. Rotimi Amechi. We had him on air talking about billions that were earmarked for the Maritime University just vanishing into thin air.
All of those, Amechi cannot produce documentation. I challenge Amechi. He cannot produce documentation showing those claims. Now, Tom Polo went to court, for your information, and the court vindicated Tom Polo. You see, I don't want to tell you that Amishi even made efforts to appeal that judgment. But where's Amishi today? What I'm saying is that leave Tompolo alone to do what he was. Somebody must do the job. Tompolo now has told the country, has told the world. I hear that NNPC is now getting to a stage where they are now selling or pumping crude oil from yesterday. So Tompolo have done something for us. If the man knows what to do, you see, it's better for you to give something to somebody who can protect it for you. You've given it to Tompolo. Let's see how he's going to run with his affair if the government will allow him. Instead of ranging stories and what have you, Tompolo today has become the savior of the oil. The country is resting and sleeping only on oil matters. And Tompolo today is the reason why they are going to be able to draw some proceeds that is sensible from crude oil.
And these are agitators that were part and parcel of the Niger Delta agitation
Yes.
for over the years, even way beyond to the Olusegun Obasanjo administration.
Yes.
How are these people now seen to be the saviors, the same people that were breaking into pipelines and saying that, yes, they wanted resource control and they did not want the oil companies to work unhindered and were against the federal government until the amnesty peace plan was put on the table? These same people are now being seen as the saviors of the day. Isn't that a contradiction?
No. Put it this way. What I could recollect was that they were busting pipe. They were in charge of making sure that they are heard.
They more or less crippled the oil industry, as we're well
because
aware.
you cannot be taken from people and they are not benefiting. If you want to understand the depth of this nonsense, it's for you to drive to the creek. If you go to the creek in Delta State and come out of the creek, if you are a true human being, all that you'll be left with is tears. I go all the time. It's tears.
So you're
Nothing to
saying
show.
you're an advocate of 100% resource control?
I believe very seriously, leave the traditional rulers, leave the owners of their resources in line with what is going on in other parts of the country. There are parts of the country today where gold, silver, where uranium, where a lot of natural resources, most probably more expensive in the international market than crude oil. But they are controlling it, they are taking it. So let the owners of these resources, which God has given to them, participate. Government could partnership, but they should be held accountable.
Are you saying that it should be a joint venture per se between the federal government and the state government, or government should take its hands off completely? Because we know that you are the learned, you are you are a lawyer, an esteemed lawyer of so many years into the profession, and you know that this is law. It's embedded in law that whatever is under the ground belongs 100% to the federal government. And that has to do with the National Assembly changing the Constitution, because the Constitution says that all of that belongs to the federal government.
Laws are made to help. Laws are made to guide. Laws are made to benefit citizenry of a country and people. That law is a law that was made by colonial masters, but people are enjoying the benefit of that irresponsibility, and we say it is time that the law be revisited. There has been a lot of summits that have made several other recommendations that this law is no longer part and cannot operate. Hence, where is the progress? We are borrowing money now to pay salaries in the federal government, just like we are doing in the state. Yeah. So the question is that with all these resources we have, were we to allow the people to properly document what is coming from the ground, and they are part and parcel of it, everybody knows that, oh, if it comes, if it is 10,000 naira, federal government is going to get 5,000 naira, the locality will get 5,000 naira. The locality in itself will produce the security to make sure they get that 5,000. So the question is that you are depriving them. And you are using the money to build skyscrapers and everything all over the world, and good percentage of the money is all in Dubai and what have you. The guys will not be happy. They will agitate.
We're talking about the derivation and resource control. There are people from some other parts of this country that say the Niger Deltas have been given 13% of the oil proceeds, but yet they don't see what the 13% is doing in the Niger Delta. It's still disappearing into the pockets of the politicians that control the 13%. Though we do know that some states have agencies that are supposed to manage this 13%, but you go on ground, you don't even see what this 13% has produced. So they say it's not just for you to ask that you want more. What have you done with what has been given to you?
Two wrongs do not make a right. If it is their right, give it to them. Then put in place structures. I give you an example. During the Ibori administration, this resource control thing and monies were given and monies were not being spent. President Obasanjo put up the EFCC, put up structures to make sure that the money that goes to state is expended on the ground. The Ibori government started bulldozing roads, breaking roads and all of those because they need to spend the money for you to be able to cut it away. Unlike what is going on today in the country, good percentage of the money is cutted away without doing anything on the ground. To that extent, the AFCC has failed. And why has it failed? It's because there is no check and balance the way it was during the Obasanjo administration. So the money comes, nobody cares. Part of the money is paid to bribe the people who are supposed to be checking you, who are supposed to be making sure the money gets to the life and the development of the people. So nothing happens.
We'll take a break right now and we'll be right back. Thank you very much for staying with us, and stay locked right here because we're going to be back with Chief Kenneth Gbagi and we're going to find out what he's going to do different from all those that have come before him. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Spotlight on Atlantic Television. I remain your host, Eudora Kelly, and today, as we continue to talk to our August guest, Chief Kenneth Gbagi, the Gubernatorial candidate for Delta 2023 elections, standing on the platform of the Social Democratic Party. Chief, what are you going to bring different from what has been happening since 1999 in Delta State?
Let me rather limit myself to 2015 to 2023, May. The reason being everything that has happened since 2015 to 2023 will become back to back with my government, God willing. So that will be the area I would like to look at. I once told the governor the need to move back to industry. You recall that Shell has over 10,000 employees in Warri alone.
Used to. Because as I do know currently, Warri seems to be a ghost town since Shell upped sticks and left to Lagos. Nothing seems to be happening in Warri right now as we speak.
Now,
and that used to be the hub of the oil and gas sector within the Niger Delta.
It is the most unfortunate situation to have escorted Shell out of the state.
You believe that the government of the day when Shell left escorted Shell out?
Oh, yes.
They chased Shell out of Warri.
Of course. It's unfortunate. I can tell you, take it for free. I'm talking to Shell already. Shell will come back once I take over as governor.
Why would Shell come back just at your word when they've more or less established themselves in Lagos, and they also are established in River State, which we also know is kind of shaky because they also seem to want to leave River State as well. Why would they come back to Warri, to come back to a place where they were not welcome, they were chased away by all the restiveness in that part of the country?
The restiveness you see in Delta is sponsored. The restiveness you see in Delta is as a result of lack of transparent honesty. The restiveness you see there will come to an end with me as I take over. See, if you see plain truth as to what your day-to-day, your second-to-second brings about, there's nothing to agitate about. One of the greatest problems we have in Delta is the continuous lies to the people, and the people have come to now see that these are all pigments of lies, tissues of lies. It doesn't work that way. How do you want to explain the fact that as we are today, we are indebted to children yet unborn to the tune of 387 billion? Delta State, second biggest borrower in Nigeria after Lagos.
So where is the 13% derivation going to? That's the question.
You should ask God. God will show it to us. Now, but put it this way. If Lagos is the biggest borrower, it's understanding Lagos with proper collection of tax and all the industries and all the effect there can pay its debt. Delta has no company. Delta, the companies have all gone. Delta is not being encouraged. And we will come back to...
And you are an industrialist, as I know, and an entrepreneur per excellence.
Yes.
Because I do know that you have businesses running in Delta State.
Plenty.
So how are you going to transmit this from a private level to a government level if you do get into power?
You see, be honest to yourself. Unless we move massively to return first and foremost all the companies, all the industries that hitherto existed in Delta. Delta was better and bigger than Lagos.
Definitely, because we know the days of rubber, of cocoa, and all of that.
Look,
Delta was like an industrial hub of the South.
It still would be. It still would be. What had happened is that Delta became a fatherless state where everybody believed cut away whatever you can cut away as though it does not belong to anybody. We were richer, better, and more respected, and a place where people preferred to go than Lagos or anywhere in Nigeria. I met somebody from NNPC, one of the chairmen from NNPC 3 days ago, who had dinner with me here. He's schooled. He did his youth service in Ughelli. You have a lot of great people. What I'm saying to you is this. People do not understand. God forbid for NSAS to come again. A lot of heads will roll. The fact remains that government negligently did not do anything to keep Shell. And Shell is just Shell with 5,000, 10,000 employees. But all the other associated businesses with Shell brings another 25,000, 30,000 people. So the question is that it is irresponsible to have left Shell. You ask a very serious question that, oh, why will Shell come back? Shell will come back if I take over because Shell know me to be a man of character. Everybody, I mean, your history, if you put your name today in Google, your name will come out who you are and what you are. So the question is that Shell wants to do business. They are business people just like you and I. And anywhere there's business, they can make money. And they have peace. And the cost of operation is less than the cost of the profit they make. They will go there.
So what's going to happen to like the aluminium plant in Alaja and all of that? What has happened? Because we know that has been moribund for years.
They will come back. People are talking to me. People I do not believe. If I tell you the people who came here yesterday from parts of the world to plan how Delta is too significant to be what it is today. So you should expect a tsunami by the grace of God. Things will happen. Because people, it's just a matter of belief. For instance, I'm the first black man in the entire world, the entire globe, that become an AKS member of Rotary. Over 16.2% of the wealth of this world is in the hands of Rotarians. They will come.
We know that Delta State is a state that is peopled with a lot of godfathers. Like I had mentioned earlier, I had said to you, you said you're one of the founding fathers of PDP in Delta State. I had asked, are you a godfather? Straight to the point, do you have the backing of the former governor of Delta State, whom so many believe has a stranglehold on recruitment of leadership in the state, Chief James Ibori?
It is sufficient for you not to have issues with Chief James Ibori. I had met with Chief James Ibori. As I've said, we both contested the primary in 1999. And Chief James Ibori believed very strongly. That's what he said to me. I mean, at our age, if we say anything, we should mean it. Chief James Ibori had said to me that he believes I'm the one who can do and take the state from where it is now, which is very embarrassing, to the next level. He said that to me. He's told me that. And I said, whatever you're telling me, I'll tell the governor. And in any case, the governor, if you go back to tapes and events, when I was opening the second biggest mall in the state belonging to me, he came there and he said, if we had one or two people like you in the state would have gone very well. Odwangan said the same thing. So the question is that I have an issue. That's the issue of control. They believed, or this governor believed, that I cannot be controlled. And I said to him, you don't need to control me. All you need to do is to come with suggestions, as it will make meaning to bring out our youth from this hopelessness to some expectations in life.
What's your relationship with the governor? What was it and what is it currently? What was it in the past? Were you promised a ticket to take over the change of baton from the governor to you? Was there some form of understanding between both of you as individuals?
The way I want to put it is that God has decided, as a jealous God, that he will take credit for my being a governor. Other than that, Okoa was in this house. We've met over 400 times. And each time we meet, I've never benefited a kobo from Okoa from day one till today. If anything, I am the one that has given.
So you've never benefited any government contract
Never.
Under Okoa's administration?
No. Now, for your information,
not you or your family members have benefited?
Nothing. Nothing. For your information, he had approached me and had asked me to work for him to be governor. And that, knowing that he's coming back to Robo Central, that there cannot be anybody that can do the job like myself, that can change the narrative.
So you had a gentleman's agreement which you believe he reneged on?
We had more than gentleman's agreement. It was Okoa that told me, even when I was not ready, to say, go and start your consultation for governorship. I will hand over to you. I don't want anybody to start before you. And in any case, I will stop anybody from starting, because we cannot afford to gamble with Delta, given who you are, what you are, your pedigree. Honesty and character is your mark of fame.
So when did it all fall apart between brothers, so to speak?
It will
and then he chose the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Sheriff, as his man to hand the baton over to.
That's why Delta has cascaded. Because everybody today, you cannot be saying the more you look, the less you see, which was what we grew up with. The question is that everybody in the state knew he was going to give a handover power to me and believed that, oh, this man meant well if he was going to bring the only man who believed in industrializing the state, which is part of what we discussed. Even his father, let's put that word with an invited comma, the father adopted me as a second son and said all these prayers and all of that is going up everywhere. I hear that Okowa is embarrassed that, oh, we played the video of his father who endorsed me. But the truth is, it's not only his father. Everybody who in Nigeria had endorsed me, had told him. In fact, when he asked Obasanjo, when Obasanjo asked him, what are you talking about? Is it Gbagi that is your candidate? Or he said, no, God told him that is Sheriff. Obasanjo said, God. Which God? He said, God. Now you've seen the effect of what God has told him. It's all lies. And the church today knows that he has lied to the people. So that's why he's having a problem. Are they going to vote for him in Delta State? It will not happen. I can tell you, let him bring all the money.
So you believe that his candidate, Sheriff, if he makes it through the tussle in the Supreme Court with Chief David, you believe that Sheriff will not be able to scale through, having PDP as its stronghold, PDP with its stranglehold on Delta State?
PDP has no stranglehold on Delta State. It's been fragmented. By this level of distrust, I can tell you confidentially that over 87% of former PDP members are not with him. And they will vote their conscience for a candidate that will liberate the state. Nobody is going to take that risk.
So which parties do you believe are going to be neck and neck in the 2023 Guba election in Delta State? Which two parties are going to be neck to neck?
I believe my party will win the election landslide, very much so. In fact, the former president called me last week, Babangida. He said, look, I'm from Delta. I said,
oh, yeah. The former military head of state, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida called you?
Your in-law. He called me and said, I don't want to hear a story about Delta. I want a landslide victory. I created that, I founded that state, number one, and all my children are part and parcel of Delta State. Everybody does the same. Obasanjo said the same thing last week. You see, the truth is this. What is going on is the lie. And I believe very strongly. Give it. You will be shocked when the election result is out.
Chief, what would you say is your manifesto to the people of Delta State? What will you be telling them? How would you be selling your vision for Delta State to the people, encapsulated in bullet points? How many point agenda do you have for Deltans?
Not what will I be selling, what I've already sold. First and foremost, people are known for what. If 34 years ago, I privately built what is today the hub of youth center of gravity in Delta, I've built the biggest shopping mall for them. Over 3,000 youths are trading, fixing telephones and doing stuff to get their daily bread. I've done one, I've done two. I believe very strongly the hub of Delta progress is industrialization. You must go back to industry. If you were to take...
Chief, how are you going to go back to industry in a state that doesn't, in a country that doesn't have 24-hour supply of electricity? How do you want to industrialize a state that is cloaked in darkness?
No. Put it this way. It is probably lack of vision. I'm an entrepreneur. The two major energy plants, one in Saple and another one in Ughelli. Incidentally, I was born in Saple and I'm from Ughelli local government. We are supplying energy to other parts of the country and most probably outside the country. Energy today is sold, if you're with me. It's sold. So if I was to buy the energy that was produced in my place, you must give me electricity first before you give to somebody else.
But we know that's not the way the country is set up. You are well aware that we have energy being generated and being pumped and fed into the transmission grid, which is national, and Delta State does not have a statewide transmission network. So except you're talking about bringing in electricity off grid, if you're talking about electricity as currently constituted today, I don't see how Delta State is going to have electricity to fund your industrialization dream.
With less than 10 containers of about 40 foot long, you can electrify Delta State heavily with less than 10 containers.
10 containers, what are inside these containers?
Energy. Energy, you know that very well. You don't need all those humongous plant and structures to put electricity. All you need electricity. We have all that it takes to generate electricity in Delta.
That's what I'm asking, Chief, the how. Are you talking of bringing in solar panels? Are you talking of bringing in wind technology to bring in? Because everything that you might be able to generate will still go back into the grid.
It doesn't have.
We have a collapsing grid that only this year we've seen power outages in the country, and the grid just can't take even the power that's currently being generated. Our national transmission infrastructure is weak. It can't carry it. And when they load it in, it breaks down. So how will Delta State be separate from this situation?
For your information, madam, you know that if you generate your container electricity, you can fix one per local government. Once it's not above certain cap, you can drop them and use them without going to the national grid. You know that very well. There's a law to that effect. People are using it already. We are part using it in this country. So what I'm saying is that you do not need to feed into the national grid for you to solve your problem.
So you're talking about, and how would this get to the homes and the businesses?
Oh, my home, for instance, today I don't use the grid, largely. I don't use it. I mean, the question is, it's just the mindset. What we are industrialized people. We are people who believe in industry. We are people who believe in engaging our youth. We are people who believe in putting food on our table. Whatever it will take as a responsible government, that is where we'll head.
Okay, Chief, let's look at education. We know there are a lot of out-of-school kids in Delta State that are not able to go to school because their parents can't afford it. We have the situation of the little girl, the story that went viral, the little girl in Delta State that said, "On an off, you flog me, what can I flog me? What can I not pursue me? And every time when I pursue person." That was a little girl from Delta State. We know that story of her being sent away from school because her parents could not afford to keep her in school. And this is primary education. We know pictures were taken to the schools, and we saw leaky roofs, schools with no infrastructure, children sitting on the bare floors, and no teachers and all of that. How will you change this narrative, Chief?
Put it this way, madam. Education is my very, very sore point in Nigeria. You recall I was Minister for Education, and in my tenure, first and foremost, there was no strike. Go back to history. 2, I had taken memo and created 13 universities and several girls' child schools, their Marjorie schools, for instance, which I did.
Was their Marjorie school your brainchild?
It was.
It was your brainchild?
It was.
During the Goodluck administration?
It was. And
you take pride for that concept?
Their Marjorie schools, the girls' child schools, I did 8. 6, 1 per geopolitical zone and 2 extra. Now, I created 13 universities. Jonathan is alive. He knew how I did it. He was not a party to it, nobody. But I took memo and I got it done. Now, put it this way.
13 of those universities that were founded, federal universities.
I founded it. I give you the memo now. I did it.
Okay.
That was my brainchild.
You take credit for that.
That's my brainchild.
Okay.
Now, put it this way. The educational arrangement in Delta State, let me localize myself now, since I'm going to Delta, is completely not going to work. We have a different plan, but as I've said, you have a governor now. I don't want to truncate his governance. It will not work where you have a local government having 640 schools. It will not work. You don't have the manpower. You don't have the teachers. You do not, in fact, the teacher training colleges there are not working. So
I thought we heard he had recruited teachers not too long ago. The governor recruited teachers.
how many teachers can you recruit, and how much are the salaries of the teachers? And when you have teachers who are now retirees and they don't get their pension, how do you want them to be dedicated to do your job when they will go back not being able to feed their children and their grandchildren at the end of retirement? So the question is that holistically, all of that had to be looked into and be put in their various compartments. I disassociate myself with the kind of schooling arrangement they have today. Over 75%.
Universal basic education model. You're saying you will not continue that?
If you recall, if you go back to your state and to Delta and to all the states in the Federation, I directed my executive secretary, Modibo. You know we have
Ali Modibo?
Yes. You know we have a particular paint for all the universal basic schools that we build across the country.
Yes.
And then we painted them green and yellow.
Yes.
And then you see, I then added that they should go back and print boldly universal UBEC in all the schools. Because the government were not doing anything. Their schools are finished in the states. So we decided to put these schools in place.
So it was a federal government intervention?
Yes. All those schools you see, with UBEC color, it's a federal government business. It's not
So would you say Okowa has failed in education in your state, Delta State?
I would say that the education in Delta State leaves so much to be desired. And if you ask, we were number one in the country. Go back to history. Education-wise, we were number one. Football-wise, sport-wise, Delta was number one. Where are we today? If children are living in pool of water in the classroom, what kind of education are you going to give them? Do we have one internationally accepted high school in Delta State? Do you know what it means to have an internationally accepted high school? Like the high school my children were privileged to have gone to. A high school have a stadium. A high school have a swimming pool. A high school have an auditorium. A graduating, a graduating hall. A high school have, a school
You're
is
saying that it's a model.
It's a model. Have a model. I'm going to bring a model of school to Delta.
Primary schools, secondary schools, or tertiary institutions.
And those schools will be free.
They will be free, completely free.
Totally, because the parents.
Free not just in tuition, free in uniforms.
Everything free. And most of them.
Will they be fed, Chief?
We'll feed them.
There'll be free feeding.
We will give them free feeding.
How many square meals a day?
Three.
3 square meals.
3.
The children will eat.
By the grace of God.
We will hold you by your words.
Please listen to me. The problem we have, there's money for this whole arrangement. Delta State should do things differently from other states in Nigeria.
Delta is too rich to fail.
Too rich for, in fact, it's part, we're not only going to look after children. There are a lot of plans. Once you are 70, the state will take you over.
You're going to have a pension plan for the elderly.
To take you over. You would have arranged with your insurance, you would have arranged with your bank system. You see, these people have contributed money. The money they've contributed, you are stealing it to do some other things other than... It's like the ASU strike. I told them.
Exactly. I'm just going to come to that.
I told them as a minister.
Out of my mouth.
ASU strike. ASU strike. You see ASU strike?
8 months. I know that today I think they said they had finally called it off after the industrial court had them by the jugular because they lost in the court. They lost at the appeal as well. So it was not that they wanted to leave the strike. They didn't have an option. ASU didn't have any options. And yet they kept students at home for 8 good months. So Chief, what is your take? ASU has been doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
If you ask me, it's a total unfortunate situation we have found ourselves in Nigeria. When I created the 13 universities, my proposal to government...
Funding. That really is... ASU's problem is the funding.
My proposal to government was that sell all these old universities to the owners. Who are the owners? Are the vice chancellors to the cleaner.
They are the owners of this university.
Yes, it will not work. We are wasting our time. This ASU situation will continue to reoccur for the rest of our life unless we change it and do it differently. Now, look at all the private universities in Nigeria.
They are all working.
Hold on.
They are working. Their staff are not going on strike like ASU.
Let me tell you.
They are producing their graduates.
Let me tell you.
As we speak, a lot of their graduates are even being ready to go deployed for NYSC, while ASU is still talking about not even first semester or final year.
Put it this way. Who are the ones running those schools? You are answering the questions yourself. Who are the ones running those schools? They are Nigerians. So when I made a proposal and people panicked all the way to the top, that was too revolutionary. I say, you know what? Take University of Lagos. I was a graduate of University of Lagos. I read law in University of Lagos. Now the question is, were you to take University of Lagos and the vice chancellor is the chairman, take it down to the cleaner. They are the owners. This university, government built it. Government funded it. Government has put in everything. We give it to you. Take it.
Okay.
Run the school, charge your fees and whatever. We give you a moratorium of 10 years and you start paying government back its money.
Then they would they would be like the private university.
God bless you.
And the children of the poor will not be able to afford them.
No, you are wrong.
Because that's what makes the public universities where the children of
the public
go
university
there because they cannot afford the private universities.
You are not correct, man. That's what we call the law of supply and demand.
We know that some universities are even cheaper than some secondary schools in this country.
Beautiful. That's the law of gravity, madam.
Their fees are locked in.
Yeah, when I tell you, once you have released all those universities, Lagos, Calabar, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Usuka, you release it to them. They now know that they have their livelihood tied to their performance. The schools will do fantastic work. There'll be better competition. Where there's competition, all you get is a better arrangement. So what I'm saying to you...
So you're talking about, it's almost like a subsidy situation you're talking about now.
God bless you. Now,
you're talking about a subsidy situation.
No, give them the schools.
Because the public schools are subsidized.
By who?
They are subsidized by the federal government.
No, you are wasting your time. I don't believe in this nonsense called subsidy in the first place. I don't believe...
So you're saying there will be no cap on the public universities. So the management will now be able to charge the millions as the private universities charge.
Hold on. I said there's the law of gravity.
Okay,
everywhere in the world, it does happen. Release the schools to the owners. As we are today, all the people who are in charge of institutions and schools in Nigeria, they are feeding fat on taxpayers' money. This agitation will continue forever. It's not so in America. It's not so anywhere. It is the people in American university that are struggling to make sure their name. That's why you have first class, second class university and ratings all over the world. They work for it. This whole idea of bamboo they walk, monkey they walk, bamboo they shop, it doesn't work. Leave the university to the owners. Do the business with which or for which you are better known. This problem will continue.
So you're saying the universities will now be able to charge whatever they deem fit?
Government have a duty to regulate.
Okay.
Government have a duty to regulate. I went to school.
So where government regulates is the subsidy. We run back to the issue of subsidy.
No, government...
Where government will now tell them, you can't charge more than 400,000 or you can't charge more than 200,000. Then it's been subsidized.
No, you don't understand it, madam. First, give the schools out.
To the management, like that's your proposal.
Give the school. I wrote a proposal.
Okay.
And when I created this 13 university, I had a capping to fund them. And we funded them with about 10 billion each from TED Fund and what have you. We said, go on. I think they are now on their 10th year or 12th year. By now, we should be ready to sell them out. Prepare them and give it out. Let them run. The system belongs to Nigerians. And unless you allow...
So you're saying the government should take its hands
completely
off from the
now,
public university?
Look at where government comes in, including the private university. Now, you have given the universities out. We are short of teachers in Nigeria. Okay? Government approaches both the private and the so-called public, former public universities and say, we want teachers. We want 11 million teachers. So we are paying school fees to you.
To produce for us
11 million teachers.
Okay? Government is paying in advance for a product.
God bless you. Like it's done everywhere in the world. Now, you pay that money. By next year, we say we want doctors. 5 million doctors. We spread it. Train for us 5 million. So we are paying fees and part supporting the universities. All that budget, if you see the budget today, the budget that is being proposed now, 26.4% is for education. You don't need that. And it has been demonstrated. I gave license to a lot of private universities as a minister. The question you ask yourself now is that, how are they doing well? Are they not Nigerians that are attending the schools? Are they not people that are there? The National Open University, is it not succeeding? So let us not be afraid of doing what is right. Let us do it. And the throw up from it, we will start amending and correct. But we'll be a better and greater nation for it.
Chief, let's go to healthcare in Delta State. What would you do differently from a professional medical doctor at the helm of affairs of Delta State? We know what's going on in Nigeria today, Chief. We know what is going on in the public healthcare system. We just heard of a situation where one of the products of the Big Brother Nigeria, season 3, I heard, just lost his life needlessly in an accident that happened, and he was taken to a private hospital. And
was that
negligence?
In Delta?
Negligence? No, that was not, Chief. That's not in Delta. Frankly, that was in Lagos. But what I'm saying is, this cuts across board. We know what happened with the young boy that was in Lagos and was supposedly had some issues in school and was moved down to Delta State, an indigene of Delta State, and we know the story of how he passed away in Delta State. So what I'm saying generally is, across board, the healthcare system has almost totally crumbled in the country. How would you do it differently in Delta State?
I would like to limit myself to Delta. If you saw what happened on the 22nd of September this year, I donated a 40-bed hospital fully built and furnished in my community to the Catholic community to manage.
A 40-bed hospital you donated, single-handedly built and furnished?
Donated to the Catholic world. The fact is that you cannot be a responsible government when your people have health issues and health concerns and you don't have a solution to them. There are people or children that I've got to take to the hospital for surgery. I've saved so many lives, both elderly and young one. There's a young girl, I'll send you a photograph now, with a tumor. I went on a campaign or a visit and I saw this whole thing, the mouth cannot close, as big as this. What did it cost me? A few millions. We operated her. Today she's alive. She's doing very well. She's now a young lady that can find a husband, because hitherto no man will marry a lady like that. So what I'm saying is that government has failed.
How would you do it differently, Chief? What would you do
by
differently?
Bringing hospital contiguous to the people, by making sure that the hospitals you bring is not just building them, but making sure they are properly equipped with what is required. Make professional hospitals, for instance. What is our problem as a people? Diabetics, eye disease, cancer, malaria. Professionalize your hospitals around your 3 senatorial districts and make sure that people have access, even if you have to provide them. They all pay insurance today. Why not tie their insurance to their health care?
What about the private sector, the woman in the market, the fishing pot, the man doing his little fishing, little businesses? How do you get insurance to those little people?
The son and daughter of that fisherman and woman is already paying tax that should cater for his mother and his fisher father. The question is that there's no demographic. How many people, if you ask the governor of Delta State this night, right now, how many persons do you have as citizens of Delta? He doesn't know. And it goes for a lot of states in the country. That is gross dereliction of duty. You cannot say you want to govern people, you don't know where they are, you don't know. I mean, that's part of providing a security. Look at the state.
Chief, I was going to come to that. The issue of security is one thing I haven't touched really. And knowing that you have a background in criminology and you have run security companies, we know the issue in Delta states of farmer headers clashes that have been ongoing. Just concisely telling me the how real quickly as we round up.
You see, security is a science. The way you are now, because you have source or possibility of having 3 square meals, you don't become a security risk. The stomach infrastructure, hunger, is a big problem. And when you are hungry, you can do anything just to eat or have fine food. What I'm saying is that if you are not cared for and you believe that what you do is not documented, is not known, you continue to do the same thing if you can just find food out of it.
So are you a proponent for state policing?
Oh, definitely. I have said categorically, the way the police is structured today in Nigeria, it will never work. It's just a matter of time. They will overrun the police. NSAS overran the police, if you recall. They will overrun the police, I'm telling you right now. Leave police to break down. When America started it, people thought it was a joke. I mean, there's virtually hardly any senior police officer, except these younger ones nowadays, that was not my student at the advanced wing of the police college in Ikeja. The fact is that police will not work the way it is now.
How would you do it differently?
Break the police to local government and state police, then you have a federal police. This whole idea of swallowing and carrying load that you know nothing about. How do you take a police, for instance, who is from Adamawa to Benin? It will spend the first 1.5 years trying to understand his terrain. It's a waste of time. Whereas if you have the federal police, you have the state police, and you have the local government police, they have what they call interrelated relationship to be able to solve crime. So it is from the local government to the state to the federal. And it's very simple. For instance, I don't know where you were born. I was born in Saple. At the time I was growing up in Saple, I knew virtually everybody. We know who is a thief. We know who is a dropout of school. We know who is somebody who will steal little chicken or pig or something. So you know them. So you being
so you're saying policing is local.
It's local.
Allow it to go down to the grassroots, to the communities.
That is the only solution. We are just,
What about the role of technology? Because we know a situation now. Is it just you still will keep the policeman with the baton? Even if he's local, you let him be holding his baton and going round?
Madam, security.
Police major number 1 problem in the country is funding. They cry every day there's no funds to buy the equipment they need and to get them modern gadgets and weapons.
Have you probed a typical police and see the kind of money they have on retirement? Who are building the hotels? Who are building all these houses? Let us not waste our time. Government is swallowing what he cannot swallow. He will have to, he will vomit it.
Okay.
I am saying, let us work as a country with the interest of the country and the citizenry at heart. It is not possible for one man to sit down here as an IG of police and is giving instruction, go and arrest this guy and do this guy. Where have we gotten to with it? It's not going to work for us.
Chief, I also need to bring the issue of your deputy.
Being a woman.
Yes.
It's your sister.
Yes. Chief, I'm really interested in that because I think she's the only female deputy in the field, in the running. And my question is, you seem to be gender friendly. Are you part of those that say, yes, the 5-point agenda that the women civil society groups took to the National Assembly shut it down? So they're talking about affirmative action, allow affirmative action not just in elective, but also in, not just in appointive, also in elective positions. Do you agree that women should have, at least when it comes to elections, within the party structure, because we know that it's a party that throws up, and we have situations where women are given women leader, and we don't have men leaders in Nigeria. But yet a position has been created within the party hierarchy that puts women in a box and says, we have women leader, go bring your women. And we know the demography that women really are more in number in the voting population than men. But yet women are looked at as, okay, let's go to the market and get them to come and give us votes. But yet they're not good enough to be party chairman. They're not good enough to be given positions like vice. We have the two legacy parties, the PDP and the APC, and we don't have any woman in the number 1 to the number 5 position. And then we have a woman as a woman leader. Are you a part of that structure that has kept women bound in this country?
I disagree with you that you have two legacy parties. To put it very squarely, you have two irresponsible party that you refer to as legacy party. I was in the PDP up till about a year ago or thereabout. Up until APC, obviously, they have failed, and nobody in his right senses will vote those two parties. Go and mark what I'm saying.
Okay.
And
at the national level?
I say
okay.
In the country, madam, nobody's going to vote them. Now, put it this way. I like to take the two. When you say legacy party, what is legacy about them? Nothing. We took a decision as a country, and take it from me, I was a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I know, and I was a party to that arrangement. We took a decision that it is...
Because I do know the General Administration was quite gender friendly. We had a lot of women in his cabinet.
Yeah, let me throw light. We took a decision that one North presidency, one South presidency. One North presidency, one South presidency. You already see now what a presidency of 8 years can bring about in a nation. When we left government, or when I left, it was $1 to 158 naira, if you recall.
Yes.
In less than 8 years, today we are climbing to $800. 800 naira
to $1.
To $1. What was the cost of a sack of rice? What was the cost of gari?
So how are you tying that into the gender question?
No, I'm coming now. So, 8 years is a very, very long time and a short time to destroy or make a country great. You will see it a bit biased. I have 6 daughters, 6 daughters. And I do not believe that any of my daughters is less than any of my sons. Now, I picked my deputy as a female. She's not a politician. She's a business, she's a marketing person, she's a businesswoman, but I've watched her over the years. I see that she's honest. What you need is honesty. Once you have a proper foundation, then you can build
on that
foundation.
Okay.
So my deputy came about because of the distance from where I have known her. And as somebody who I see she's a hustler. She wants to make means. meet. He wants to make ends meet.
She's a businesswoman.
Yeah, she
so
does.
Now you're bringing a ticket of two business people coming together. You are into business and you are, yes.
The only way.
Your constituency is the judiciary, least I forget. Yeah. Because your wife is also a judge of the Court of Appeal.
Oh, yes.
Am I correct?
Yes, yes. I mean, but my wife is not part of our government.
Oh, she will not be?
No.
She will not be a first lady of Delta State?
She's a first lady. But what I'm saying is that there's too much hunger in the state. There's too much backwardness in the state that we need a revolution to put back these things as soon as possible. And one of the things I tell my deputy governor candidate for right now is to say, look, we have a big problem. The expectation is high. Everybody believes that Gbagi will turn it around overnight.
Down, or he'll turn it
now,
right
by the
up.
grace of God, I want to do that.
Okay.
We need discipline.
Okay.
We need somebody. You are leaving your office or you are traveling.
That's the civil service.
Yes.
Will they work with you or will they do what they usually do? No. Go sign in and go do a third-party job.
No.
How are you going to put the civil service in line to run your vision for the state?
Madam, you will agree with me that there has been government in Nigeria that ran well. The civil service, they sat up. There are governments. You see, show me your leader, what he or she does,
yes, and I'll tell you
and I tell you how I want to run.
Every other person runs.
I believe very seriously that my civil servant in Delta will cooperate with me, particularly if they see me providing an example and leadership.
Just to run away from Delta State as we round up now, what's your take on the Muslim tickets?
It will not work.
Of the APC?
It will not work. Look, you have touched a very serious issue. Because of the effect of what a president can do in 8 years, as we have seen now, 2015 to date, no Nigerian belonging to the other sect will vote a Muslim ticket.
Also, let me just go to the obedient factor. What the role of Obi with the youth? I just want to get your take, Chief, before we go.
No, let me take this.
Okay.
Muslim ticket will not work.
Okay.
Just as we cannot equally agree that we have just finished
a 8-year Northern tenure
and go back
to another 8-year Northern tenure.
And it was my brother Ifeanyi Okowa that read the communique that South will produce governor in Asaba.
So he has taken back his words more or less.
Has he betrayed the people? Has he betrayed the whole South? After that, they went to Enugu to hold a meeting. They went to Lagos. The question is, let us be factual. So
are you pro-Wike with the system that Ayu should go?
I handed over to Wike, if you recall. I handed over ministerial appointment to...
Yes, you did.
Now, put it this way. When I say we have two parties, the only two parties that have met the agreement of Nigeria, of the citizenry, the youths, the old, the far, the church, the Muslim, and everybody, is the SDP and Labour Party.
And the Labour Party.
That is the two party that has...
So you believe Obi has a chance come...
What I'm saying, the two of them.
Okay.
The two of them.
Are the ones Nigerians should take seriously?
They should. Look, let them sit down and look at it factually. We said power must come back to South. That's the argument. We cannot have...
So it has satisfied the Igbo question of exclusion. The Labour Party has satisfied that, in your opinion?
In my opinion, Obi is from the south of Nigeria. Prince Adewale Adebayo is from the south of Nigeria. Squarely put, Nigerians should stop gambling. Those are the two candidates that have met the agreement, or call it the charter of Nigeria as we are.
At this point, we'll have to wrap it up. It's been really an interesting one. This has been dredging and mining the mind of Chief Kenneth Gbagi, and we have spent a wonderful time. And Chief, we came to your home and you've been very hospitable to us. We thank you very much. And we hope to see you again before the polls will come back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.